Hello and welcome to the Leading with Lean podcast. My name's Philip Holt, author of Leading with Lean, The Simplicity of Lean, and Leading Lean by Living Lean. And in this podcast, I narrate all three of my books, chapter by chapter, in which I share with you my over 30 years of experience as a lean leader across many companies globally. Leading with Lean, chapter 19, Lean, a lifetime of journeys. A journey must have a destination. A lean transformation is often referred to as a journey, and I understand why. As it is a learning experience, there are many challenges to overcome along the way, and the outcome is not always predictable. However, whilst a journey without a destination might be exciting on a gap year or for the USS Enterprise, for most organisations, especially those that are in business with a clear purpose, whether that be a profit or not-for-profit organisation, the journey must have a destination. In fact, without a destination, which is essentially the company's long-term objectives, which should be described in its strategy and deployed via Hoshinkanri, the lean transformation will be detached from the business and perceived as something separate from the overall activity of the organisation. Despite my emphasis on the importance of establishing the why of the lean transformation, the essential difference between traditional and lean thinking to delivering high performance in an enterprise is not the why of the organisation or what it wants to achieve, but how it will achieve those objectives. The lean leader is therefore obliged to ensure that the lean transformation is clearly focused on delivering the goals and objectives of the organisation, and that it will do it better in terms of both business results and people engagement than other possible approaches. This doesn't mean that the journey never ends, as the very definition of continuous improvement is that the end is never reached and that performance can always be improved. The lean deployment model, for example, one such as the viral model in this book, must therefore be designed in such a way that a long-term destination is set, but that is subsequently updated as the organisation gets close. It's therefore essential that there must always be a destination, and as we get close to it, we set our sights further afield and continue on our travels. There are multiple journeys. The most rewarding aspect of driving a lean transformation is that just as the organisation has a destination but never reaches it, the lean leader will travel but never really complete multiple journeys. This in itself requires a lean mindset, as the lean leader will have to accept three undeniable truths. Number one, they will reach a point at which they will have done as much as they can for the organisation or a part thereof and need to hand over the baton to someone else. Secondly, further improvement will always be possible and their legacy will be one that will hopefully be improved. And thirdly, there will always be new journeys for them to join and to determine a destination for. What this means is that the lean leader needs to be able to let go of what they've done, as further development and continuous improvement will require a new set of eyes and a new perspective. This is a truism for life in general, but is especially applicable for a lean transformation and can be difficult to accept, particularly where there has been a lot of success. However, the lean leader must accept that, just as they ask the organisation's employees to embrace change, so must they. The lean leader must therefore see their goal in life as being to make their role redundant, as whilst they are needed, they have not succeeded. In essence, the less they are required, the more successful they have been, and this can be a difficult experience for the human psyche, and one of the reasons why firefighting is such a prevalent form of management. This is a challenging aspect, both of finding a lean leader and of being one, as they must be people who are comfortable explorers, willing to go into the unknown and break new ground, while others are either passively or actively resistant. However, metaphorically speaking, once the village has been established, there are other people who are better placed to govern and further develop it, so the explorer must move on to find pastures new. This is beginning of their new journey. Making yourself redundant. In my role heading up the team that was tasked with guiding Philip's accounting operations journey to operational excellence, I often used my hands-side time to consider whether I was adding sufficient value for the customer. However, figuring out exactly who my customer was and ultimately what that value was a complicated discussion. My job was certainly not to make things more complicated than they already were, so I considered that my job was waste or non-value added, plain and simple, And as with all non-value added activity in the value stream, it must be removed. The team that I led at the time of writing this book was responsible for managing the key elements of operational excellence within our accounting operations: partnership development and contract management with the BPO partner, quality management, data analytics, and the lean transformation. Those elements and the drive for operational excellence were key to the delivery of the strategy. I therefore believed that my team were currently fulfilling essential roles, and I must say they did a really splendid job. Nevertheless, applying lean thinking, as I must have done, we had a duty to our organisation, our customers, to consider these activities as at best the current essential non-value add, and in the long term as simply non-value added. And we must have aimed to simplify, reduce and remove as much of the work as possible. This meant that the need for the roles must be minimised, embedding the activities as far as possible into the standard work and the daily management of our operational teams. Just stepping out from the book a minute as I narrate this, that's how I've seen every single one of my transformational roles. And really, if you want to be a true lean leader, it's a very difficult decision to make, but you have to decide that you cannot be required in the long term. So at this stage in the book, I wanted to feel obliged, or I felt obliged to clarify that I'm talking about the roles of my team and not the people. People are never a waste or a non-value added, but the roles or part thereof that they play might be. However, as a measure of the team's success, we must reach the point as soon as is sustainably possible whereby our services in these roles are no longer required, as we need the operational team members to be just as skilled, if not more so, than we are in the utilisation of lean thinking in their domain. At this point, my team members should move into either another transformation or into an operational leadership role. By thinking in this way, I hope that my team and I can adopt the mindset that everywhere that our intervention is required, there must be competency gaps in the operational team that we are having to fill, and that by definition, this is a wasteful activity. If we can develop those competencies in the organisation and ultimately remove the need for our intervention, we can increase the value added significantly. Similarly, for my role, and I'm successful in coaching and developing my people, the first step of success must be to remove the need for my role, as the team should develop into an autonomous, self-directed team, co-developing their plans with the business and executing them with excellence. I realise that it's uncomfortable to think of our roles in this way, but a lot of us do fulfil roles that, in the medium to long term, must be considered non-value added. And it is my view that we should embrace this fact and be the architect of the eradication of the role. This should not be seen as a negative thing, as if we do it well, we will increase the fulfilment that we derive from the role and have a significantly positive impact on our organisation, developing ourselves in competencies such as lean thinking, coaching, change management and leadership. This will be a platform for our next career step, helping us to develop a career path delivering more value added for the customer. Returning to the discussion of my own role in particular, whichever way I look at it, ultimately the need for my role must be removed if we are to consider our transformation to a lean thinking, operationally excellent organisation a success. And I must make it a personal mission to develop our organisation and our people to the point that my role is defunct. Simply put, my job is to make my job redundant. If I'm successful, it will result in the organisation no longer needing me in that capacity, and I'll be moving on to my next lean role. Hi, Philip here. Sorry to interrupt the narration of this particular chapter, but I just wanted to remind you that all of my personal profits from the books go to charity. So if you would like to buy a book, it would really be helpful. Otherwise, if you feel that the podcast is sufficient, then please feel free to make a donation to my current charity, which is Women's Aid. It's a great charity which helps to stop domestic violence for women and children. Thank you. It's not déjà vu if you love it. I was once asked during a job interview whether taking on another lean transformation role would be boring, as it would be very similar to my previous role. My answer was to ask the interviewer whether they thought that Lionel Messi became bored playing his next European Championship game, or whether Serena Williams was bored playing at Wimbledon once again. Just as with sports, the same rules, equipment or even location do not need to mean that the game is the same and hence boring. Each time there will be a different opponent. That's the business challenges in our case. Some development in technology, IT, automation, artificial intelligence, for example, and new players coming through the ranks, new team members. And provided that the player, the lean leader, focuses on the objectives, applies their experience and continues to learn, boredom will never set in. To use the oft-quoted cliche, they say that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I truly believe that this is how it works for the lean leader, as they do not get the fulfillment from the strike of the football or the stroke of the tennis racket, metaphorically speaking, but through the scoring of the goal and the winning of the point. The lean leader is therefore motivated by the results and outcome of the lean transformation with engaged people, happier customers, more success, and better business results than ever before. This means that they will stay motivated no matter how many times they begin the lean journey. In my own case, I've been privileged to have begun the lean journey several times within the same organisation when I was in Philips, and subsequently in Travelport and GK and Aerospace. And despite still being on the same journey that I began over 12 years ago, what I mean by that is for most medium to large organisations, there are multiple value streams in many sectors, divisions, business groups, etc. So whilst I'm on a journey with the enterprise overall, I've also instigated or been involved in a number of the sub-journeys within the business. So in Philips, for example, I think I did 6 or 7 transformation type of roles over an 8 or 9 year period, which meant that I was able to start, develop, make my role redundant and move on to that next transformation within the same organisation, and subsequently moving on to new organisations. This is exciting, and the learning opportunity is a privilege that very few people experience in their careers, seeing multiple functions and most parts of the value stream. The lean leader is therefore in something of a unique position vis-a-vis a regular role, and can leverage this to develop an appreciation of the overall business dynamic that only a few of their colleagues will share. The key message from this chapter is that the lean leader ought to be someone who understands and believes in business and operational excellence as the outcome that they strive for, and utilises the lean journey to deliver the lean thinking into the organisation that will enable it. They must love what they do and the engaged people, delighted customers and superior business results that it delivers, and will never consider the start of a new journey as a backward step, but rather as an exciting opportunity to apply and increase their experience and learning within a new team.